We've made it to the promised land, ladies and gentlemen. We have concluded the first migration group. Man, 15 migrations down, 14 in this recent group, 5 million in liquidity migrated. Many more to come. Migrate fund, 15 competitors, 0. What's good, guys? How are we feeling today? Adam, how are we feeling? We've gone through 150 conversations. They're flooding in even more.
Bro, I'm looking at my Telegram and it's like, holy smokes, man. It's like literally, 20 different channels lit up. It's like, it's funny because I don't know, somebody was giving us FUD in our own Telegram, like, what separates you a migrate fund from Believe? And Jake goes, customers.
We have clients, they do not.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I do want to dive into the Believe stuff because, man,
yeah,
that backfired horrifically. I do think the market's overreacting a little bit, to be honest, but man, yeah, if there is a way to do something wrong in a migration, that's definitely the way to do it. Although I do applaud them for trying and going about it, right? Like, it's not an easy decision. Everything has different internal deliberations. And I actually wrote a very articulate thesis yesterday on kind of understanding what they had done. It was very interesting. I got to say, for them, basically controlling the entire vertical stack of Jupiter, Meteora, and Believe, there's some things there that we are definitely not able to do because we're not a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yep.
But first and foremost, though, we got to ring in and celebrate Memes AI on
Let's go.
concluding their migration, 38%. So pretty good, almost to 50. Mexi with the first ever centralized exchange participation in the migration
really cool.
group. So that was super cool. So making the Swarm is making some history here today. I'll pin that up to the top so that others can see. Really cool. That sets like a really good precedent for other exchanges to participate on chain. It's been interesting talking with different exchanges because there's been different requests, right? Some of them want to do this like manual exchange. Some of them want to do it like after the claim period. Some of them are dabbling with the beginning. We got Halborn just actually posted the audit from their side as well. So that is good news there. So we could use that as a reference now that is live, which I'm going to repost here as well.
Yeah, I think for people who don't understand, exchanges and the whole kind of swap of tokens, how that works. When we actually had first thought about this, we figured, well, most exchanges, for liability, they would have to receive the new tokens first before they would be willing to, part ways with the old tokens for a liability purpose. And that made sense to us, but turns out these exchanges are actually, to support the projects are actually, Mexi was really good about, no, we can get you the old tokens first in order to maximize, the LP you guys are able to recover. So shout out to them for being kind of forward leaning for sure. And just help the projects out.
The dynamic is shifting.
It's tough to get a migration or an exchange to do anything, respond to a DM, answer a phone call, let alone like to actually physically participate in the migration on a brand new platform. I mean, this is like pretty major for not just us, but for the entire industry.
Yes, sir. So setting up good precedent there, Memes AI. I know they're in the crowd as well, so they'll be undergoing the post-migration process. If you guys are listening, shoot us a DM. If I sent the video as well as an onboarding call, we'll be there to walk through. We did with a lot of the teams. I think of the 14 teams that have migrated, so 13 if you discount Memes, we probably did a post-migration call with, Adam, 10 of them?
I'd
9
say,
of them?
Almost all.
Yeah. Almost all. Project 89 did it on their own. Pars figured it out. Willfully so. But, it's...
Which is crazy because his was the most crazy one, right?
His was the most complicated one.
For sure.
Shannon spent like a week building like custom airdrop stuff for them and all that stuff. But it's cool because then we get to offer it as premium services to the platform later, right? So it's always cool to build new product lines while also servicing, one of your customers. Like that's like the ultimate win. And that's generally what we try to do as well. As a company that doesn't have any venture backing, right? The holy grail is building a new product while also applying that to current services, which is the grade A. So Memes AI will be going through the post migration here today. I assume since they got about 40% migrated, once that candle hits, you'll probably get 30% of that supply following up immediately. So it's a really good testament in that they did a 25% discount or penalty, I believe. So everything will go pretty smoothly there. I think now, Adam, what do you think about now we have 15 projects who have gone through the migration, ourselves including. We saw this kind of catastrophe with Believe, which we'll get into, about dilution and 100% penalty. What is the most effective method for a migration, for creating essentially, like, if we're going to create a migration standard, which I think we're working towards, what is like the most effective way for it?
It certainly feels like that 25% number just hits right. And I've talked to obviously a bunch of teams now around this. The idea that when you, like, say you're not paying attention to any of your hundreds of tokens you may have, and you see one that, you thought you had $400 yesterday, and today it went to, 0, and now you have $15 in that account. And you're like, whoa, what just happened? Those guys rugged. And then you check the timeline and it's like, they had a migration. And the mindset of like, oh, wait, I can go here. And what I thought was $400 is still kind of $400 because maybe the price went up a little bit. And yeah, it's a haircut, but shoot, from 1 second ago, I thought I was at a 0. And now I'm at basically made whole again. That 25% number, I think just hits right for people. It's fair. People realize, oh, shoot, I missed this migration. They've been talking about it for a month. I wasn't paying attention. I missed it, but I'm basically made whole here. it just feels like that 25% number for most teams is going to be right. You know, and there might be some who do higher or lower or none. And none can definitely still work. I think none is just based on, you just have to have that community buy-in to do the migrations.
Yeah, Project 89
yeah,
did really well at that.
And you can do like, I mean, teams can get creative and do whatever. You do an NFT drop on something, you do other things on top that where the 0% makes some sense. But I think rewarding people with, you know, not getting a haircut, you know, giving some sort of reward or making sure people migrate, that 25% number just feels right.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in the driver's seat here when it comes to creating a migration standard. And that's what I mean, right? There's always going to be outliers, teams who have a really good relationship with their community, who can do more creative things. And then there's obviously on the other side of it with like 100% penalty, teams who are in dire situations where it's like, hey, I got to make a change now or this is over, right? That was us. Our market cap is 600K, never sold a single token. It's like, hey, if this price, or if we don't get some momentum here soon, this project's over, right? There's nothing left. So there's obviously the extremes on both sides, but creating a standard where it's like, hey, I want to migrate. Hey, here's the template. This is what we recommend. If you want to go outside of this, you know, you're more than comfortable, but this seems to be kind of like the adequate spot for most people. So I think we are getting a little bit closer. We just got off a call with a team who's going to be the first to use the Migrate Fund SDK. Big team, Moby. That's already public, right? They could potentially be the largest liquidity pool migrated. I think Project 89 holds that right now at 1.3 mil. I think Moby's at 1.3 mil, so it's like right around there. But they were originally going to do no, like they're really content on no penalty. I think now they're going to test out like 5 or 10%, like a very small haircut, because also I think they realized that it's a potential for a little bit of like a tax there, but more so it's that game theory, right? We need people to participate here, and a haircut is kind of like the best way to do it. Chris, what's your thought so far, wrapping up the first migration, getting to a standard, and then we'll dive into examining Believe Apps migration fiasco.
So we learned a lot. I think it was really successful. I mean, it's great to see so many of these teams on the other side. And it's just cool that this didn't exist before. And there's clearly such a big need for it to exist. And there's like a million things that could go wrong. There's like a billion things that maybe will go wrong in the future that we haven't seen yet, right? But through all the testing, through all the live testing, through all the projects that have gone through, we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of tokens go through the portal, and we're doing things. Being the first one through the door is always the most difficult. So definitely a learning experience, and we're willing to put ourselves out there and kind of take the strays from everyone else and kind of work on getting this normalized within the industry. So being the first one through the door is a bit difficult, but I mean, we're happy to do it. We're happy to push cover over all the projects and really nail out what we need to work on. But I think all in all, looking back on it, it was a great success, not only for us, but for every team that's involved. These are projects that are willing to do anything and everything to make sure that their project succeeds. We're not begging anyone to migrate. These are project founders and team leads and creators that are doing everything in their power to make sure that they have the best chance at success. And so to be able to have a helping hand in that and watch them on the other side and get to see like what they're going to do next when the most empowered that they've ever been, I think that this is a really exciting time for the industry.
Yeah, I think so as well. And we have, excuse me, 2 different migrations ongoing. Obviously, the Believe app one was yesterday, which I tested out. Slurf has also seemed to be doing pretty well with that. Maybe we'll dive into examine both of these. But the one yesterday, this post has literally almost 1 million views on it. And I think it's because I did a post on it, or like an examination, that all the criticism of it was showing up in my timeline. Like the algo was feeding it. And man, this thing
likes Believe. Let's give them all the Believe.
This thing got like Kobe responding, like Trader Main, literally every major crypto account basically calling these guys a scammer. And I think really the shining point here is it comes down to really the relationship of the founder with the community, right? Project 89 did a dilution and they were successful. The community even championed it, right? Because they have a really good relationship with their community. I think also because there was no tokens that were ever sold in the situation, whereas Believe app has investors and things like that. So taking in capital and then diluting seems to be a terrible mix, at least from the community standpoint. So let me dive into
taking in capital. And then a lot of people were accusing taking in capital, selling, and then diluting on top of that and getting more tokens back for yourself, which, you know, people expect them to just dump again. I mean, I don't know how much of that is true, but that was the kind of accusations hitting the timeline.
And you have to start with, Jake, that when they found out that we were building a migration platform, it was almost like a jab to us that we were allowing projects to penalize their holders for moving their tokens late, for late penalties. And so they were almost white knighting on the timeline that they were going to build a much more maybe full integrity platform. And instead of just, you know, penalizing late migrators, they decided to penalize everybody involved. And so just like for starters in crypto, we think that like the hidden tax of inflation is kind of like insidious. And so definitely within this industry, you don't want to just blanket tax everybody involved. So that's a good place to start, but go ahead.
Yeah, you're completely right. They came out and were very against Migrate Fund, Soju, the Meteora guy, as well as Pasternak. And then Pasternak changed his mind like literally 3 weeks later. He said everyone's going to be migrating. Right. So let me examine the details and and then we'll dive into some specifics. So they announced yesterday that they were migrating Launchcoin to Believe. From my understanding, Launchcoin was launched on something called Clout.me, which was like some sort of launchpad. It was originally named Pasternak, and then they rebranded it to Launchcoin. But when they rebranded to Launchcoin, there was no change on chain. It was just they went to Jupiter and all these other platforms and said, hey, please just change the name so it shows up differently. And now they're upgrading it to Believe. They had their coin upgrade tool. Kind of funny that they tried to change the name from migration to upgrade as like trying to remove themselves from the acronym, right? Or the kind of reputation that comes with migrations. That seemed to backfire a little bit here. What they did, so a few things. So they said that they call it the upgrade period, what we call the migration period. And then they have a claim period, which they call the final claim period. So the migration is 2 weeks and the claim period is 2 weeks, which is a little bit different from ours, where it's the migration period is whatever you want, but the general average is about 2 weeks. And then we do a 90-day claim period. They're doing a 2-week claim period. On top of this, they are inflating the supply by 33%. So they increased from 1 billion to 1.33 billion. Of the increase in supply, they basically said that there's an allocation that of that 25% increase, 17% or 17, what is 17? I guess it'd be like 80% or 70% of that increase is going to incentivizing future contributors or taking a portion of that going to investors. And then 3% is going to themselves immediately. And I think this is where some of the people had some controversy around. Also, they reset the investors lockup period. I guess from what I was reading, there were investors who were 10 months into their vesting of 12 months, and they basically reset all of them to now starting fresh as of today. They're all back to day one.
Ouch, man. Bro, that would do when your founder is literally traveling around, you know, showing off his girls showing off vacations, and you're rugging your fucking people who are funding you. I don't know, man. That if I put money into that, I'd be fucking furious, man.
And that's what we had seen. So a few new dynamics here. So they said that after the final claim period, this is when they were going to do. So they're doing the sell after the 2-week upgrade, which is going to end 13 days from now. And then during the claim period, anyone who missed can come in. I don't think there is a penalty for missing the migration. At least I didn't see that. But they did say after 2 weeks or after the claim period, you're done. Like if you miss it in the 4-week period, then there's 100% penalty and it's over. And so what they said here, which is an interesting dynamic, they said that they're going to burn all of the unclaimed Believe tokens here. So if you have 70% of the people who migrate, they're going to basically burn the 30% of Believe token so that in theory it returns back to a 1 billion supply. So they're making a bunch of judgment and assumptions here. And the dilution is really what has caught everyone by surprise. Ben Pasternak came out yesterday and said that he said that they created Belief from the ground up. They never got any tokens, which I totally reside with that, right? We were in the same situation, got no tokens. I think the way that he went about it pissed some people off. He goes on to kind of clarify a bunch of things, saying that the new supply is 33 million tokens more. The foundation has the tokens unlocked, so 3%. That pissed people off. And then the lockup timers were restarted. And so you have 4 weeks to upgrade. He says then that he's throwing the flywheel thing around or term around consistently through these posts. And a lot of people are very, very upset about this.
Bold, what Bold say?
Bold. He went and like did a cartoon and stuff.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah. So he basically
no lockup. If there's no late penalty, what do they do with the tokens that don't migrate within the 4 weeks?
Yeah.
They're gone, right? That's 100% penalty.
Removed from the supply, I believe. Yeah.
Removed.
is that the word you use?
Removed from the supply. So I went in and examined this because I thought it was kind of interesting as I started looking around. So the mechanics here, they did almost an identical setup from what we did with the Hustle migration. They launched a new platform, a new migration tool. They put their own token through it. The LP is preceded on the other side for immediate trading. And I forget what the other one was. Oh, and that there was 100% penalty.
And they almost pegged them together somehow, even though
I'm gonna get into that. So they basically almost copied us, like literally to a T. The things that they changed here was the dilution or the supply increase to 33%. That can have an accordion effect depending on how many people participate. As well as they did peg the launch coin price to the Believe app price through, I think they created a specific Jupiter aggregation path as I was trying to experiment with it. Because what I had noticed was, and when I was migrating, the launch coin market cap was 80 million, but the Believe app token was 110 million. But when you're migrating, it was 1-to-1. But anytime I would try to sell Believe, it would sell at the $80 million price and not the $110 million market cap price. So what I think they did here is they got with Jupiter, and keep in mind, Jupiter owns Meteora. And so they set up a bin with a launch coin Believe app 1-to-1 kind of redemption. And then when you migrate it over, you're using specifically a Jupiter aggregation path. Realistically, I was joking in our chat, and I was like, well, you could in theory send this to 0, because if I go buy a bunch of Believe and I go set up my own pool on Radium and I just sell directly through Radium, then you're bypassing Jupiter's aggregation path, and I'm going to be selling at the appropriate $110 million price. And so you could definitely arb that pretty close to parity. But if we were doing that, that would be probably a pretty bad PR move.
I was encouraging it. I was like, let's get some funds together and go do this. But
yeah, you'd probably need like maybe $400,000 or $500,000 to do that arb. And I haven't looked at the prices today, but that's what I was looking at. So really, I think here, the biggest issue I think that everyone has is that when you dilute the supply or you increase the supply, you're affecting every single migrator or token holder, right? Whereas if you do 100% penalty, you're only affecting the people who miss. So now, if you're saying you're diluting the supply, and also if your market cap is at $100 million, that is much different than doing it at a $600,000 market cap. I increased my supply by 33% at $100 million. I've theoretically printed $25 million to myself, right? Which,
well, like, you stole it from the community. You didn't
Yeah.
print it. You took it from the community.
Yeah.
which is much different when you're dealing at higher market caps, right? Especially with investors. But you think about this: if you're increasing the supply, and if you're expecting 70% of people to participate, right? Because they said in theory that they're going to burn 30% and get it back down to 1 billion. Everyone's going to be pissed because now I've lost 25% on the other side. But if you're also doing 100% penalty, you're affecting every single migrator, and then you're also affecting the people who missed the migration. So you're literally now every single person who holds the Launchcoin token is impacted in some way here, which is like it's like almost maybe they're thinking like double negative. If everyone's impacted, then nobody's impacted, I guess.
Maybe they thought rage bait on the timeline would, create more awareness. I mean, honestly, like these guys are that kind of guys.
I don't think they thought that far ahead.
I don't know, man. Tell me why you would do it. It makes literally no sense. Why
I
would
just
you
think that
entire
I think they're the captains of the ship. I think that they are the ones that run the show. Kind of has like a really strong founder personality that it's definitely top down and not really like community oriented from my perspective, at least. And like I said earlier, you just have to be really cognizant of the industry that you're in. And this industry was built on the basis that inflation is an insidious tax against everyone. And so inflating your token's currency supply for everyone involved without maybe just individual projects that choose to migrate with a close relationship of their teams, but you as like the token platform is like an immediate red flag because you don't understand the industry that you're working within. I don't think that it was a PR move. I think it was more of a tone deaf move and more of just this is what we're doing, and I actually don't really care what anyone else thinks about it. We'll see if they stick with it, but I mean, it just goes to show that you have these ambitions for what a successful migration would look like in your head, and you think, so I'm going to get 30% more of the supply, potentially rebrand, et cetera, but you don't know how the game theory will play out in the future and how all these will mesh together. Like if they just strictly did a rebrand and rebranded from Launchcoin, which is obviously not the most perfect name for that platform, to the Believe token, which is way more accepting, what would the market cap do? It'd probably go up 20 or 30% and show initiative of them trying to better the project. But instead, I don't know, it's probably down, but I haven't looked at it. But just assuming, you can work on a lot of it's just your impression. What is your community's impression of what you're doing rather than the actual reality? And I think that this goes to show that they weren't really cognizant of the impressions that they were willing to make.
Yeah, they so here I'm gonna try to pull up some stats here. So the migration percentage is actually quite bad. So it's been 24 hours since they've migrated, and I'm here opened up the bin. So this is the Believe app Launchcoin bin. This is where they're doing the swaps. 353 million Launchcoin in this, so only 35% migrated in the first 24 hours. Wow, that's quite bad for a project that's of that size.
And everybody saw the announcement. It's not like people don't know.
Yeah,
the post has 1 million views.
Yeah, everybody saw the announcement. So
that's incredibly low. Incredible. Maybe people are waiting. Maybe they're like, oh, they might change their mind or something, and maybe something will happen. I don't know. Or maybe people are waiting because they think they might, they look at what happened with our migrations and stuff, and they might think there might be a price squeeze where price goes up, and then they sell into that, rising price. I don't know.
Yeah. So what I noticed here, the Believe app or the Launchcoin token is at $80 million. You could see this gigantic down candle. It goes from, I don't mean to laugh because people are losing money, but like this is sometimes you'll see a sell off when people migrate. You'll see like maybe one whale or two whales exit, right? Because they don't want to go through the process, or they think there's a better opportunity to sell now and buy later, or whatever it is. But if you look at the volume, I was looking at this yesterday. Yesterday was Launchcoin's biggest volume day since the summer, since May. You see this big sell candle here. Literally since May was the biggest volume day.
Is that an $80 million token with a $1 million liquidity pool?
Yeah, that's also pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is it. The fact that it's at $80 million and there's only 1 million in liquidity is kind of weird to me, because I guess it just means there was a high volume leg up, but then there wasn't much actual trading going on, right? Because when you see like some of these other tokens that we talk with, right? For example, even let's say Project 89, because they're in the crowd, right? They migrated, it was like a $10 million market cap, and they had $1.3 million in liquidity, right, which means that there was more frequent trading on Project 89 at a significantly lower market cap than where they are today. It's kind of strange, unless there's like other pools that people are trading on, or maybe the exchanges. But the on-chain volume of this is actually pretty telling, right? It's probably why people are pissed.
Yeah.
So looking at that, let me see what the Believe is. The Believe token. I was looking at this yesterday. So here we are. So Believe, still 1,300 holders after 24 hours. So see, this is where I was saying, like, the Believe token itself is at $103 million market cap. And then you look at Launchcoin, it's at 81 million. But when you go migrate and you try to sell Believe, it sells it at an $80 million market cap. So they pegged it. So
what kind of fucking games are going? Is this a stable coin? They get to set the price and just lock it there? How does that even work, man?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is that and also the Memes AI says that the claims are live. So I'm gonna pull that up here in 1 second. I'll go through this. So congrats to the team. Yeah, I see that in there in our TG chat. So they create, and the reason why I bring this up is it tells me they actually put an enormous amount of thought into this, because you have Jupiter that's involved with this, creating a pegged path. You have Meteora with the Launchcoin Believe bin, and then you have Believe app with the migration tools. So you have literally the entire vertical stack, the AMM itself, the largest aggregator on Solana, the swap tool, and then the migration itself. So this is not something that takes literally 3 days. This is something that takes like a month or two to literally do, which means there is some serious thought that went into it, which means that the dilution and all that stuff is very intentional. It's not just like a one shot. And they were definitely planning for people to arb this to death. And so they were expecting a gigantic candle down, I think, because of the peg, or else they wouldn't have put the peg there. If they were expecting if you're expecting the volume to go up, you would not put the peg there. You would let people buy the new Believe token at the right price, right?
So does that mean, though, if Launchcoin token goes down, then it'll just peg down? So that's the idea. So basically it's peg. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anytime you sell Believe through Jupiter, it sells it at the Launchcoin price. So if Launchcoin goes down to 50 mil, then your Believe tokens are selling at 50 mil, even though the market cap says 105 mil. It's crazy. I didn't even know you could do that.
I didn't even know it was possible. Yeah.
I didn't even know that was possible. And I tried this 3 times to be sure, because I was like, wow, this is freest money I've ever seen. And I tried it, and it was.
Nick was going to get rich yesterday when he.
I was ready. I was ready to literally back up the trunk on that. I was like, "Wow, 25% free trade on this. I'm literally going to put my entire net worth into this.
Every penny I have."
Yeah, and so investigating that, kind of interesting. I wish them the best. I hope for the sake of migrations in general, they're able to kind of come back from this. But man, I have not seen. Like, they're literally labeled scammers now, right? I hope that doesn't wear off into like the migration trend, although I think it probably will in some capacity. So we as a company, as a migration platform, are going to have to just be prepared for the outrage and to separate ourselves a little bit differently. But man, yeah, that was the biggest fallout I've seen of something that just went completely backwards. Although it tells me they were prepared for this outcome, maybe not to the scale, but they definitely technically built the this product for a dump to happen.
I'm just wondering, like, who's going to use their launch pad. Who's going to use that? Like, do you know anybody who would go use that now? I just think it's dead. I just don't even understand why they're even doing anything anymore, honestly.
Is there congrats to Memes AI. You guys, the claim portal is open. I'm going to have to migrate my Memes AI on my other computer after this.
Let's go.
So it is set up. Let me pull up the token here. Old token, bonk token.
I will say really quickly though, last thing on Believe is, these experiments are just that, they don't know exactly what they're doing. We didn't know exactly what we were doing. And so kind of any market research that we can kind of gather through trying new things and experimenting with new things is kind of valuable. So if anything, it might be just a learning experience of what not to do, but it's still a learning experience. So continue trying. Believe we're here to support you.
We believe in you.
We got Memes AI. Pulled up the market cap, so $840,000 market cap, 250K liquidity pool. They just locked it. We can see here that it is locked. The Radium burn and earn. They did everything properly, man.
Wow, great job.
Let's go.
Great job, fellas. Really, really good job. We'll make sure right after the show is over to get the news out to everyone. That concludes the first ever migration group. Shout out to all pioneering teams. Migrations are going to continue to grow. I do want to examine the Slurf migration since we are looking at these, but where does Migrate Fund go from here, right? I know a lot of people have asked some questions. So I think we're going to pause the platform for a week or two. Devs are pushing some new upgrades. We're actually developing Migrate Fund V3 essentially that is a little bit more compatible with launchpads in a different type of way. As we've been talking with different launchpads and platforms who've been reaching out, who want to work together, who have realized, I don't think building a native migration tool is good. Is a good idea. I think the Believe app situation is actually like a pretty good example that a third-party migration tool is probably the best option here.
True.
Because I do think and we said this a month ago or a month and a half ago when Believe app first announced they were building their own tool. They're essentially, if you're a launchpad who has your own migration tool, you're backing yourself into a corner because now you have to offer subsidies to the platforms themselves or to the projects, right? So, for example, Believe app, if they're going to attract people to migrate over there, they're going to have to say, "Hey, we'll either subsidize your LP," which is what Meteora said they were going to do. Right? They're going to have to either give you some sort of token allocation, some sort of priority marketing support. They're going to have to do something that makes it attractive, or else everyone's just going to use us because we're trusted, right? It's like, why would I use this platform when there's a third-party migration tool that's done 15 migrations successfully already? It's talked with hundreds of teams. They're going to have to give these teams money in some capacity. And so I think it's inevitably a losing battle because the migration market is large, but I don't think it's large enough to begin competing in this kind of capacity. Like, right, we got 15 teams in the matter of 3 months. We generated about 200K in revenue. But the migration, like Believe app's going to have to pay 200K per team to migrate, right? Like to pre-seed the liquidity pool and do all of this stuff. We went through this process when we did Migrate V1, right? It was like, if we wanted to do that pre-seeded LP version, we're going to have to find investors. You got to put potentially $2-3 million up in the liquidity pool. You have to develop loans and interests and all these ways to pay the platform back. And it is quite an extensive process there. But for us, we're building, a V3. I think we're going to have 2 different migration groups. In the next maybe 6 weeks or so, 6 to 8 weeks. One will be another Radium Bonk Fund group. That'll be coming here. Announcements here pretty shortly. We did a show yesterday with the gym team or the gym community. Pretty cool guys. I enjoyed that. I had a lot of people show up, which was really nice.
Yeah, they have an active community for sure.
Active community. We had 2 other teams confirmed today for Radium Bonk Fund group migration. There's about another 2 or 3 who are deliberating between their teams. And so we'll launch them together. We'll do another group, a little bit smaller than the last. And then we're working on something special for the V3 product, which I think we'll be able to apply to other launch pads. But I think the community will be very happy to see what's ongoing. This one is a lot more work, although we did lay the groundwork for migration. This one, a lot more exchanges are involved in this one. A lot more companies, a lot more larger projects, I guess that'll say. Adam, what do you think about Migrate Fund through the rest of the year?
I think I don't know. We were talking to a VC group the other day about Migrate Fund. I don't know how they'd heard about it in whatever Token 49 or whatever was going on in Asia, and I think like to their point, this is a whole new kind of infrastructure play that we're just at the starting line of, really. But this is not going anywhere, and you can see during times of real bullishness or new interesting launch pads or new interesting whatever. I just think the idea of being able to move communities by moving their token is really powerful, and we're at the beginning, very, very first stage of that. So obviously we have a lot of teams like lined up. I think this is almost the thing we have the real challenge with is, yes, we can onboard teams one-off. We can do it this way, but creating an infrastructure where it's permissionless and where somebody can feel comfortable doing it, one button easy type of thing. That's what we're also working towards as well. So yeah, we'll still handhold you if you're huge and you want to be handheld through, sure. And you have exchange listings and all this sort of stuff that gets complicated, 100%. But making it super simple where if there's a CTO project who just wants to do it, they show up on the website and just do it, right? I think that is kind of the bigger vision as well. So yeah, there's a lot to build out. I mean, this is like the thing you realize when you're in the trenches, like this is really hard tech to build out. This is not like you can't vibe code this shit. No fucking way. Right. And so, I think that's our mode as well, but the tech's not going anywhere. And the idea of migrating is not going anywhere. So this is awesome.
What wasn't that the meme? You can vibe code it in like a day. Just give me like two white monsters and like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'll have it up to you by midnight.
Give me some Zens and I'm in.
Literally, yeah.
And I just want to point out that like, having a third-party service like Migrate Fund, I mean, it's really cost effective. Like, look at how costly this was to believe. Like socially, how much time do they waste for developer resources and strategy that they should be using to build out their product when they're competing as a launchpad with Bonk Fund and with Pump Fund, with ICM markets launching and everybody else, and they're spending time to work on this migration platform that got a ton of social backlash, and they can't even really have a end-to-end migration platform because they're not really going to be migrating projects away from Believe. I don't think that they would do that. Maybe they will, but they're not going to be migrating tokens to Pump. So it's all just for incoming traffic. And at the moment, I don't know that there's that much incoming traffic, but they spent a lot of time, a lot of development resources, and a lot of social capital building this when they could have just used Migrate Fund to migrate their tokens. Migrate Fund as a third party kind of acts as a shield for like social pressures. They don't know if, for instance, the additional 33% inflation, they wouldn't know if it was Migrate Fund as a platform that was doing that or if it was only them. And so it kind of adds as a buffer between the community and the project. And so there's just so many benefits to using kind of a third party platform as Migrate Fund. Anyone's welcome to build it, not gatekeeping the industry or anything like that. I'm just saying, as launchpads, it's the most competitive field in crypto right now. A lot of teams are thinking about maybe wasting their time to build a migration platform for only incoming traffic. And I think that, just my advice would be that might be kind of a bad strategy when you're competing in the most cutthroat and competitive kind of niche within the crypto industry as it is.
Well, maybe the one thing we can take away from Believe is that we should create a structure where the price never goes down. If we created that structure, plunge protection, I think it'd be the most popular product on earth, bro. I mean, it's like how they made it. Can you imagine when this is over and the price impact that is going to happen? Good Lord, it is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I created a migration list on Deck Screener. It's been kind of monitoring the volumes and stuff to see where we can improve and where services we can offer. I do think there are going to be some services that we can get into in terms of market making, referrals, post migration, kind of organic community support. Obviously, we have a migrate fund community, and we actually have speculators now who speculate on projects that are migrating, which I think is really good. I do think we can improve in the post migration VIP services in some capacity, because some of the volumes I've seen kind of start to tail off a little bit. And so you still want to offer, them some type of services. So I've been trying to think of what exactly that is. Obviously, market making referrals seems to be like a pretty common question. So building some relationships there. I think building exchange relationships. I think Bonk Fund's actually pretty good at this, where they've built relationships with all the exchanges. And so when you go to their platform, they help set you up with the exchanges. And I don't know if they have like a backroom deal or whatever it is with like, hey, we pay you $1 million, you list 10 of our projects or whatever the hell it is. But I think some of those, as we build out the platform, we'll be able to provide some of those services afterwards. So I've been kind of monitoring that. The one thing Believe app did do well, though, and which is what we've talked about migrations, you want to get everyone looking at your project. You want to get people reactivated. Do a migration. Do all the eyes there. We didn't say whether it was going to be good or favorable or backlash, but if Believe app wants to make a change, like literally all eyes are on them right now. So you can have the biggest comeback story ever, or you could kind of fade into obscurity for 6 months before everyone forgets that the token supply was printed more, and they'll go from there. But I think with anything that we've learned, which was something we've been saying since the beginning, never dilute do not recommend. I don't think we've given one recommendation about increasing the supply. Project 89 did a good job doing that. And I was very hesitant to do that. We would have built it where you actually have to import your own contract to increase the supply. So you can even increase the supply on our platform. And we had people request that, and we had said no to every single one. Project 89, Pars had a really good system where they were going to do rewards and airdrops with the percentage of that increase. And obviously his community as well, right? Pars, it's a unique situation. Context is everything here, where the token was launched on Pump Fund on behalf of him, right? They kind of ripped off his IP, did that. So, and obviously with the tech project themselves, you want them to have supply. So context is everything. They're a good example of how to do this right. I think with Believe, maybe we have a month or 2 or 3 to see whether it was the right decision or not. But initially, be prepared for that pushback to a much larger scale than doing 100% penalty.
I mean, it just feels, the timeline vibe is just like, this is, the rich get rich. I mean, this is like a rich person robbing, poor people. I mean, this is just like as bad a look as you could have. I don't know. The more I talk about it, the more I think this is their strategy, man. Outrage and rage on the timeline, because it is an eyeball game. And the reality is let's be the dirtiest, scummiest person on the timeline, and I'll get unlimited eyeballs. And that happened. So part of me thinks this was their strategy all along. I don't know, man.
I saw the crypto dog, who's like a big account. He like had this theory that that Pasternak's not a real person, and that they've created like an image of like, again, he created the rich scummy dude who's not real, and they just created the image to do this type of act. So maybe
makes sense.
But I guess a way to do it right, although still, I actually have to test the Slurf migration tool. And again, the Slurf guys have been really cool to work with. It was a little bit of a bummer to lose out on them after talking with them for a month or 2, and then they decided to build their own tool. but they have a lot of complexities, which I think it's much easier to assess now a few weeks later that it does make sense. They also helped us kind of develop the platform a little bit, walking through some of the like mechanics, and not from a technical level, but we had many conversations with them about how to do this right. So we have no ill will towards them. Um, they told us that they had so many exchange listings, 40 exchange listings. I think they were able to get in contact with 28 of them participating. And I think the exchange holdings, when they had gone through their own process, is more than 50% of the total supply. So they knew the only way to do a successful migration for them is to get all the exchanges involved, which at our time was also just too complicated for us to take on. Also with them, their liquidity pool was $30 million. And they also, their situation was a little bit unique where they had to pay back $10 million from the, from the pre-sale that they've earned, right? And I saw a post yesterday that they've like almost now fully paid back everybody through this migration themselves. Or through this migration, they'll be able to pay back, and they probably will keep a significant amount as well. But looking up their migration tool, it actually looks somewhat similar to kind of how the Believe app one was, which maybe I'll go through here, but really slick interface, a $30 million market cap. I think they have just as much in, whatchamacallit, in the LP. I think their supply was 500 million.
Yeah, they did like double it, I think. Yeah.
So they've got 20% participation, right? Is that it'd be right? Because you would just double this.
Yeah.
So they've got about 20% of their total supply migrated. Yeah, conversion rate 1 to 2. So 20% participated. They're also doing like a bonus, which is cool. Look at all these exchanges though that are involved. Like that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That is a nightmare right there, bro.
that gives me a heart attack looking at that. It's literally talking to each of these exchanges is like literally talking to a cartel. It's like you don't know what the response is going to be. Like it's really hard to predict what their response is going to be. So that's why it was awesome for Mexi to participate. Like that gives me a little bit of confidence moving forward that we can eventually create a standardization process for the exchanges, which obviously is a benefit and increases value to the Migrate Fund platform, because if we're integrated with all these AMMs and launchpads and with partnerships with all the exchanges, it's like, why would you use anything else, right? And that's what it leads me to in the beginning, where it's like, if that's a situation, the only way to use another platform is if they're literally paying you to use it, which is why I think a native migration tool is a losing battle. I think a lot of the major players have definitely realized that. So with Slurf, they have all the exchanges participating. So they have 20% of the on-chain participation, or maybe they've got the amounts and they're putting it in with the exchanges. I don't really know. Like if this 20% is people who held Slurf on-chain migrating, or if they're just like getting the tokens from the exchange and then depositing them is possible as well. I don't really know. But I like the UI. The UI looks really good. I like the way that they've been kind of announcing that these different exchanges are involved, and that they've been doing kind of a good meme game. You know, the result we'll see, but man, I know the effort that's gone into this is literally going on probably 4 months at this point. Like they were one of the first people we talked with right after our own migration. So since mid-July, they've been working on this, and they've been friendly enough to say that, hey, if we need contact with anybody with any of the exchanges, they'll give us the referral as well. So it's been a really good relationship with them, and they've been very supportive of us, and we've been very supportive of them. So no ill will to them, but cool to see. Right there, I think they're also building their own launchpad. So they're kind of going about it different. They're doing a migration, and then I'm assuming they'll probably have the migration tool integrated into their launchpad. If they are still doing the launchpad, I think they were. I don't know if they tabled that or not. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. But obviously, they've also said they want to work with us to integrate Migrate Fund into their launchpad. So they're taking the dual approach, which is like, hey, we have our own tool that we had to use for our own migration, but we obviously understand the valuable nature of Migrate Fund to work together. And I think I'm gonna test this one out. I keep telling myself I'm going to, but
Got to get a little slow.
Yeah. So it is the old contract. Yeah, 500. 500 mil, and they're expanding it to 1 billion there. So here's a question then. Do we think then, with what's happened to, I believe Slurf obviously still has to finish their migration. I don't think they actually have like a specific time window on it. Maybe they do. It says they're claimable. The new Slurf tokens are claimable on the 21st of October, so 5 days from now. But I think the migration may still be open.
Go migrate your Slurf, guys. Go.
Do we think over under 2 more migration platforms pop up in the next 6 months?
I don't think we see any more migration platforms.
You think under? You think none more after this?
Yeah, I mean, maybe one, just because there's got to be a dark horse out there somewhere, right? Somebody has got to be like, well, that's a decent idea. But I'm not sure who it would be, to be honest. But
yeah, we'll see. But bullish for Memes AI. Congrats on completing that migration. Migrate Fund still, of our entire product line, Migrate Fund is definitely the attention vehicle. Everyone who reaches out is always about Migrate Fund. So, continuing to put development resources there. Agent Hustle, we're still working on the expansion. We got ETH mainnet plus a partner blockchain, L1, that's going to be launching together, getting through the final parts of that. And then we expand to, I don't know, I guess I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. It seems like Polymarket and Polygon seems to be like a pretty hot request. It was Base. It seems like Base is kind of fading a little bit. A lot more people want on the participation of the Polymarket stuff. BNB has been like a big request as well. Obviously, Avalanche, I think, is like a pretty good token ecosystem to partner with. And there's obviously the Bitcoin ecosystem as well. It's a little bit more of a build, but I think there is opportunity there, as well as you just make your way down the EVM chain as well. So we will be taking some shots on goals on some smaller L2s, stacks, and some stuff like that. Because once you get into expansion area, you're also into growth, and you need to get new users. Our subscriptions have tailed off a little bit. And so to get more users, you got to go to these chains that are hard to reach. And then obviously, we announced yesterday that for the Emblem Vault side of things, we fixed the fake rare situation. We've now moved Shannon over to Emblem Vault for the time being. Feels kind of good that Migrate Fund and Agent Hustle are now kind of semi-autonomous development teams working. Obviously, need help with direction and operations, but doesn't need as much of the babying as it did in the beginning. So we can now put some development sources back to Emblem because there are a lot of collections requests. I suspect when the Nakamoto card strategy thing goes live with TokenWorks, I expect probably the ordinals collections are all going to come funneling in, realizing that that's a much more liquid environment for NFTs on ETH, which is something we've been saying for 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny. I was going to post this yesterday, but I think I'm going to wait for a little while. The ordinals community is kind of like fading and saying, this is like, it's just all going to fade to zero. And I was just going to post and say, if the ordinals just literally vaulted their assets or bridged their assets to ETH, you'd probably catch 10 times volume, because now all your collections are a part of the OpenSea games, right? You're a part of all these different metrics and games and farming systems, and that just doesn't exist over there. So I think at some point you just got to have that focal point. Maybe it's the TokenWorks stuff, maybe it's not, and then everyone comes funneling back to bridge their assets to ETH.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The fake rares getting that done was a big thing yesterday, and I was talking to one guy. He's like, "Yeah, I just vaulted whatever 35, new fake rares yesterday." Right? It's like that's what it unlocks, and I think well, it just requires NFT season or requires something like NFT strategy to reignite that. And we're well positioned. I'm excited for, I am really excited for Hustle to be on Bitcoin. I think that's could be really, really nice. Just a nice unlock for people there. So And just being like the first real AI on Bitcoin to actually be able to do stuff on Bitcoin, I think is going to be huge for us.
Yeah, I think so as well. Speaking of AI, I want to go through the DeFi AI stuff. We haven't looked at that in a little bit, and then we can wrap it up here. The DeFi AI sector, man, has taken a bleeding recently, just as much as all the other tokens have as well. But looking at it, I think Hustle's down to like 7 million. Yeah, so $7 million market cap. Hanon's at 12. Like Hanon's taking a gigantic shellacking.
We've got to flip Hanon. We've got
I know. We need it. And Banker's been holding up around 45 mil. To think though, 3-4 months ago, Hustle is literally 11 times higher than it was. Hanon is 50% lower than it was. Griffin is about 30% lower. And Banker is about
Griffin even alive, bro.
All right, did they tweet yet? I got it.
Rug yet? What are they? When's the rug? It's like these coins, even when the team rugs, it still doesn't go to fucking zero. It's still
all right. So Griffin has not tweeted still since
no post
April 25th. This is incredible. I love that the strategy is going strong. Keep up the good work, Griffin.
So I was reading. So Jeffy, you guys remember Jeffy Yu from Zero Bro?
Sure.
How can I forget that guy? What do you mean?
During the Binance situation over the weekend about the extortion fees, I saw that he took his account off private. First, he said that the reason why he faked his death was because his life was threatened or something of that nature. But he had all these posts about how Wintermute basically had taken over the Zero Bro token. And he also mentioned Griffin being one of those that Wintermute owns like 50% of the supply. And that's why the price continues, because they just keep pumping the price so that they offload their tokens slowly. He noted a few other AI projects in that as well. But the reason I brought that up is I think that's why Griffin continues to trade higher, is you have some market makers. Could be Wintermute, could be some of these other ones, but that was on Jeffy Yu's. He has like a gigantic thread on this.
I saw the post, but Jake, how would they get the tokens? It's not like they just magically stole the tokens or magically transferred the tokens from Jeffy and Zero Bro to their wallets. They were clearly sold or
given to them.
Given to them. It's not. I mean, it's not like, oh, how'd you get those? Those just no. You gave them to them. Or you sold them to them.
Yeah, so they're implicated in that as well.
I don't know how you play the victim on that. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
He's a victim player. I don't have many good things to say about a guy that can fake his death in front of millions of people
and then sell $1 million of the token right afterwards.
I don't think that he has very much credibility or integrity, or I don't know. I really can't say anything good about him, but
I can't either, to be honest. Shady businesses for shady people. Faking your death is I don't know how you ever come back from that.
Never has my gut been more right than with that dude, bro.
Dude, you were immediately, dude. You called it since the beginning.
I was on a Mario show with that dude, and I mean immediately.
I called it instantly. It's true.
Instantly. I gotta go find that. Immediately. I never get on arguments. How many arguments have I been on in this show? 2 in fucking 5 years, and he was one. I was like, dude, there's something wrong with this, bro.
He got off the show. He was like, that project is alarm. Yeah, that's what he said.
We just need to be able to short this stuff, bro. We just got to be able to short this stuff. Crazy time.
Yes, sir. Somebody said, is this Semi Fat Tuna? I think he's watching the show. He said, what's Migrate.fun? Well, that's our migration platform that launched in July. And we successfully migrated 15 teams and over 5 million in liquidity. We also worked with Radium and Bonk on the first group. This is essentially, maybe if you missed the beginning of the show, but we had launched this, and then the Believe app and Surf teams have done launch migration tools since. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think we've done it the right way because we have successful clients who've gone through the platform. But yeah, I suspect that we'll probably receive some backlash because of the stuff that happened with Believe app. So we just have to continue to prove ourselves again and again and again, which is fine because we got some cool things up our sleeve. coming down over the next few months. Lots of preparation. Even in light of like the Believe app stuff, definitely been softening more on like giving these teams a lot more time in the previous, as well as afterwards, like 2 to 4 week migrations. You want 2 to 4 weeks of preparation, sometimes even longer. The Zira team and the Project 89 team, good example, as well as Memes AI and a lot of these, they marketed the product for 1 month, 2 months, some teams 2 months, and they came out with 70% or higher migration turnouts and no community pushback at all, right? So you got to figure out the sweet spot between both of those, but that's why we, talk with the teams. Literally every single team that migrated, we've done probably 3-4 calls with.
Oh yeah.
Together or more. And now we've talked with over 150 teams and starting to get a lot more larger projects following up with us now that we've completed all these migrations. And I'm not saying that we were completely flawless in all of this in terms of we ran into a bunch of bugs, some social situations that maybe we weren't prepared for, but the whole thing is when you're creating a new protocol, you got to be able to provide solutions to problems that pop up immediately, right? And you need to be able to identify the seriousness of it. And funds and all that stuff.
And fix it.
And fix it. Yeah. I would say that.
Yeah. It's half of what we've done is just fix stuff, fix problems.
The biggest, and most of it's like social situations. Like I think the kitty migration is a pretty good case study for memes migrating with 100% penalty. That does not mix very well, because then the people who missed out just CTO the old token and say fuck off, right? Kind of thing. Wow. The exchange kind of component to that, I think now we've built with Memes AI, with Chonky, there's a few of them who I think there's a few other teams. There's like 3 or 4. We've decided to move the exchange swap portion to the 90-day claim period section, unless they want to participate on chain. I think we were able to work that out together through the different problems that surfaced, as well as different tools, right? Shannon built a bunch of airdrop tools for Project 89 that we're going to integrate into the platform at some point. And, filling out the pitch to platforms, to projects. But don't get it wrong. We're not going out and just cold DMing projects. We did a few in the very beginning, but as of the last like 2 months, it's all referral based, which shows that we have a high degree of trust with the different type of components. Because there's always going to be some sort of trust with migrations, the trust between the founder or the team and the community, obviously the trust between the platform operators, which is us and the teams, and then the way that we relay information from the platform to the users who are migrating and claiming their tokens. We'll continue to get better. But overall, man, feels good. Those like the last 3-4 weeks leading up to the Migrate Fund V2, the cohort, gathering all the groups, going through the whole stuff, man. Feels good to have a woosah for a week before we run it all back again.
There were a lot of scary points in there, and not gonna lie. Yeah, it's always, look, man, this shit is fucking hard as fuck. And you're moving literally millions, tens of millions of dollars in value. There's always risk until you go through it a couple times, make sure it's working right. There's risks to it. And so
Yep.
some stuff that is for the next book, but it was very, very happy that it all went pretty smoothly.
And so I've invited 2 people on stage who were requesting. So I'll start with JY, who's on stage. Thanks for joining us. Do you have any questions or comments about the platform or the discussion?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It was good.
I just want to congratulate you guys. I feel like this is one of the hardest problems out there. Well, back then, when no one knows what's going on, everyone launched on pump. And then, of course, we didn't get any transaction fees. So seeing this is like very, very exciting. And seeing like the liquidity that you guys move flawlessly That's probably the most important
Yeah.
part. I don't know how Belief's gonna do their stuff. I already saw a lot of bugs. So I hope no one lose money there, but at the same time, I kind of hope that they do, so then their coin goes to shit. But we don't know. We'll see.
Well,
That's just my take on it.
no, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been very difficult. This has been probably, I've been in the space for 9 years at this point, on Emblem building for over 3 years. This has definitely been the most complex product to create, but definitely one of the most rewarding, because you get to directly talk with these different communities and teams, and you actually get to solve real trouble that people are having, whether it's a lack of funds, they need community support, whatever it is. So it is really, really rewarding. It's funny because when we first launched the platform, most of the teams who were reaching out were actually Believe app ICM tokens. And then they all kind of faded because I guess they were anticipating Believe app to offer new rewards. We actually got one Believe app project reach out yesterday immediately. So I suspect some of them will probably follow up here. The one thing that I ran into with Believe app was, like, if you launch your token there, they hold your supply. You don't get your supply. They slow drip it to you. And that was like a real frustrating part for a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I was so I'm also based in San Francisco, so I go into their office. Their alliance is like the VC that that backs them, and then a lot of teams actually are alliance based that got connection with Ben, and then they launch their coin. And believe me when I say they hate his gut. It's crazy. Like, some of the things I don't want to share on air, but maybe later if we connect, like some of the things that after I talk to them, I'm like, oh my goodness. I kind of don't want to meet this guy after hearing. And then it's like, it's not just like listening to one person, it's like multiple person, and some of them are different personality types, and they all arrive to the same conclusion, which kind of gives you like a clear red flag to me, myself. So that's an experience to actually see that. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, I live. Chris and I live out in Las Vegas, so near you on the West Coast. It's a lot of San Francisco builders out there. It's crazy. I didn't realize that that's where everyone was.
All good though. But then one thing I do want to ask is, out of the 15 projects that you guys migrated, because I also have a project I'm thinking about migrating as well. Maybe we can start a Telegram chat after this.
Yeah.
Is, do you get to choose like what launchpad that, because I'm assuming it's like you guys work with Radium, you guys work with Bonk, are you able to choose like a third one or whatever that you want?
A good question, actually. Yeah, so kind of the short story is, when we launched the platform in July, we put our own token through it first to kind of see if it worked. And then after that happened, there was a flood of demand. And so we had reached out to kind of all the major launchpads and AMMs to see who'd be interested in. And Radium and was the only one that responded. And they were like, yes, this is obviously something we're super interested in. And then Bong Fund had reached out to us a few weeks later. So we got involved with them, and Bong Fund was sending us their clients because we had built that trust with them. Now, for us, our goal is to be a third-party tool to integrate into every AMM and Launchpad on Solana, or at least where the business demand warrants it. And we are in conversations and discussions with some of the other major launchpads and AMMs. And I said this at the beginning of the show, but right now we're working on a V3 product, which works and blends a little bit better with some of the launchpad situations. So we'll have more information on that here in the next few weeks or so, as we're kind of working out some of the bullet points and details to migrate to places other than Radium and Migrate Fund, or Bonk Fund and Radium. But for the user, yeah, you can choose wherever you want. So yeah, shoot me a DM and we could talk. We've learned a lot through just like talking with all these different AMMs and teams in terms of different launch pads have different offerings as well as different systems. So the migration's slightly different in some ways. Just shoot me a DM or the Migrate Fund account a DM, and we can continue the conversation. Make sure that if you are interested in migrating, we make sure that it goes to the right ecosystem.
Sounds good. That's really exciting. And then one last thing, like just to understand your business a little bit better, is what is your revenue stream as like Migrate.fund?
Yeah, good question. So we take a flat fee from the liquidity that's migrated over. It's a 3.75% on the total liquidity migrated. So for example, if your liquidity pool is $1 million and you manage to migrate 80% or 90% of that, we would take 3.75% fee on that, and it's charged in Solana through the migration process. So there's actually no upfront fee and there's no perpetual fees. And this actually incentivizes us to ensure that the more people who participate in the migration, the platform gets paid more money. So it makes sure that our incentives are all aligned with the platform operators, the users, and the teams who are migrating.
That's very smart. That's very smart. And then, sorry, I guess I have more follow-up question, but I want more people to speak. So I'll just shoot you guys a DM and then we can probably talk offline.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, JY. Yeah, we'll follow up. And again, Adam and I and Chris, we've talked with, I'm not joking, 150 teams, maybe a little bit more now at this point. So there's,
I believe it.
Yeah, there's,
believe is a sensitive word, but I truly trust it.
Yeah, well, what I've learned is it reminds me a lot of real estate, where it's like when you're migrating a token, you're essentially, selling your home and then moving to a new location. Migration or this is kind of the same, where it's like a user, you come in, you have all these different questions, there's different situations. And so we walk through all of that. And so, yeah, no doubt we'll have that conversation. Vlog, who I believe is on the same team as JY. What's good?
All good. Thank you. I'm on the same team as Joe. Yeah. I just want to say congrats on what you're building. It's one of the most difficult things to actually build. I don't want to speak too much because Joe already asked what I wanted to ask. We just talked outside of here about wanting to talk, but he did the work already. Just to say, I put in the comments what we are also building now, but we can also talk in private conversation on Telegram, on X about it. I just put it in the comments. If anyone wants to check it out, you can just go in the comments and check. And I'm going to let other people talk about what they're building or other different questions. But yeah, congrats guys on what you're building. This is amazing.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, just make sure you guys shoot the Migrate Fun account a DM, and then we'll follow up some responses later today. If you want to pin up to the top in the nest what you guys are working on, you can make it a little bit easier for everyone to see. No problem at all.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Thank you.
So we've got two more speakers on stage. First and foremost, Memes AI, man. Congrats on the migration completion, man. How are we feeling today?
Feel great. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Congrats, man. You guys figured out that post-migration process pretty quickly, up and running. Got the first exchange, Mexi, to participate on chain, man. I don't think that ever happens.
Dude, yeah, we were sweating bullets in the background there with Mexi. I'm not going to lie, but we got it through. And, we're trying to get the word out still, if there's any stragglers. But yeah, I mean, overall, really proud of the community. We had a lot of community members kind of put in a lot of extra time and energy into just DMing the fuck out of people relentlessly. And So Suspected is one of them. Really want to give him a shout out. Like, he really got on there and was grinding. And there's others too. So there's a lot of community members that really helped us. And yeah, I mean, it was a good process. It's overall, we're excited to just, it wasn't like a make or break for us, like roadmap item. Like, it was good for us to get over here and do all that stuff. So like, now we're ready to keep doing the AI stuff that we're doing. We have a whole lot of stuff coming up in the next quarter or two. So we'll lay that all out. And once we catch our breath from the migration and all that stuff, I think you guys will see a lot more of us. And I don't know, it'll be, I'm excited about it. I know the community's pumped. The devs fucking pumped. The AI's fucking pumped. So we're pumped. We're having a good day today.
I love that. Yeah. And the cool part here is because there's a 40% migration, you're probably going to get now maybe 30% of the total tokens or 40 or even higher following up and being a late migrator. So the cool part here is that because they're late migrating, they don't have the MFT. They're going to be turning in the old Memes AI token. So over the course of 90 days, you're going to be building up a vault of all these old tokens for you guys to then sell or sell at some point before the 90-day claim period. And then you guys get to take all of that Solana to use at the team's discretion.
Yeah, that's good. We're ready for like I said, the next quarter and on. We got some stuff in the works. I've been talking with the dev today. They're making some deals in the background with stuff. I probably shouldn't say anything out loud yet, but we'll post about it. But yeah, you guys, the process was smooth. It's easy, pretty straightforward. If there's teams in the audience that are thinking about doing it and you don't control your token right now, I would highly recommend doing it. And it doesn't really matter what platform you go to, just go and get control of your token and kind of build. Like if you're here to build and not rug, these guys are probably Migrate Fund, and those guys are probably the ones you want to get connected with.
Really appreciate that. Congratulations, guys. Did an awesome job. One other
Thanks, man.
One other person we had on stage, or did Ralph, did you hop off? I was about to call on you. If you still have something to say, you could go ahead and request to come up. If not, then we'll wrap it up. Or we'll
come on, Ralph. Don't be shy.
We'll Ralph it up here, right?
Come on, Ralph. We won't bite.
I'll give him a little request, and then if not, then I'll close it up here, man. Feels good. Got a lot of fun stuff in store. You guys crushed it. Everyone did. I think we will wrap it up here, man. So congrats to everyone. I look forward to talking to all the future projects who will migrate, as well as our awesome alumni, Project 89, Memes AI, and everyone else. Oh, we got one other request potentially. We got the Mac attack coming in late. So let's see, Mac, if you are on stage, you have a question? Or are you just coming in to be on stage? Farm some engagement.
Hello?
What's good, Mac?
Yeah, there he is.
What's up, bro? I actually just wanted to find out what the space was about. If you could just recap everything for me. I'd appreciate it.
Check out Migrate Fun.
I'm kidding. I know. What up, Adam?
What is good? Adam actually just hopped off right now. He said he had to go to an appointment. But appreciate everyone. We are going to wrap it up here. Migration's here to stay. Watch out about that supply dilution. Always comes down to the relationship with the creator in the community, most and foremost. Everyone have a great and safe Thursday and weekend. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, stay safe and have a good time, guys.
Have a good weekend. Take care, guys. Later.